The ocean is full of mysteries and loves to play puzzles. Sometimes it leaves surprises along the shore for people to find amusement and wonder about the diversity of the universe. You're on the Top Facts channel, and today we'll make 20 discoveries together with you. We'll see mysterious monsters, quirky objects, and impressive ruins that have ended up on the beach. Let's dive in and look at the strangest things washed ashore. First, let's start with a joke. In 2007, residents of the Dutch islands in the North Sea were treated to an unusual sight. Tons of unripe bananas on the shore. The free distribution on the beach was caused by a cargo ship that lost its load during a storm. The North Sea is known for its treachery and gigantic waves. It's no wonder that a fully loaded ship could capsize. Naturally, residents hurried to grab as much fruit as possible, and this spontaneous banana party brought everyone tons of joy. It's rare for something so fun to happen. Lucky were those who had shopping bags and backpacks with them. Now let's move on to goods and items that people produce for unclear purposes. Are there any Lego fans among us? Beachgoers at Siesta Key in Florida in 2011 were surprised when a 98-foot fiberglass man, created on the principle of a giant Lego, floated to them. A mysterious phrase, "no realer than you," was written on its chest and on his back. The name, Ego Leonard, and number 8. Many thought this was a marketing stunt by Legoland, but it turned out that the art installation belonged to an independent artist who wished to remain incognito. The world is full of talented eccentrics who want to work for themselves and promote their creativity to the masses without investing in advertising. Or maybe Leo just escaped from his creator across the water. Overproduction has been a calamity that began in the 20th century and continues to this day. The pollution of beaches with plastic is also a pressing global issue. However, on the coast of Brittany and France, this problem has a unique twist. As for decades, the coast has been washing up retro telephones in the shape of the cat Garfield. At one time, he was as popular as a character as Tom and Jerry, but old and unnecessary phone parts over 30 years old continue to clutter the environment. Now, they've turned into trash that persistently arrive from the sea and settled among the rocks. Enthusiasts use handsets and spiral cords for the cat parts on the construction. The expansion has thoroughly tired on the beach cleaners. Environmentalists were concerned about the reason for their appearance. Somewhere in the ocean, perhaps a lost shipping container with its cargo was hidden, and many more tons of plastic remained there. Fortunately, the mystery was uncovered by a local farmer. He discovered a metal box with these Garfields in a coastal cave after a storm. When the tide was low, it slowly released its contents. This lasted for many years. Now the little cats have stopped terrorizing the coastline, but it turned out to be a decent plot for a horror story. The mystery continues. The coast of Northern Europe periodically throws up new reasons to seek explanation. The shore periodically washed up small rubber plates with an unknown lettering. No one with such a name or title is known. Some believe that it was part of a terrible curse, or these messages were once sent by spies. Aliens were even mentioned. But it turned out that it actually came from a rubber tree plantation in western Java. The plates drifted from Indonesia. And at the end of the 19th century, beginning of the 20th century, these blocks were made there from the resin of the tree. And apparently, many things were made from it: golf balls and telegraph tables. These blocks are well known to locals in Indonesia, but for some Europeans, their purpose was unclear. In the debate about how they ended up on the shore, the prevailing theory was a ship was carrying a large batch of this materials, and sadly, it wrecked. Thanks to the current, the rubber plates began their long journey through the waters and eventually washed up on shores. It's amazing how well they preserved. The English coast around Norfolk became the resting place for an unusual oversized cargo. In 2017, gigantic plastic pipes washed up on the sand. I personally have never seen such a huge one in my life. I can't imagine what they would have been intended for. They were colossal in size, from 8.2 feet to about 1,640 feet in length. Fortunately, the mystery of their origin was quickly explained. Originally, the pipes were towed from Norway to Algeria for a major construction project. However, due to an unprecedented incident, the carrier vessel collided with a container ship, and the super pipes were set free in the vast expanses of the ocean. They ended up on shore in various places. Many adults were frightened, but children were mostly thrilled. Despite their intimidating size, the authorities assured that the pipes posed no danger and planned to tow them back to Norway. In my opinion, on shore they're more impressive in their size, but seeing such a thing in the water would most likely genuinely scare me. Now let's look at abandoned ships. In May of 2016, the residents of the Liberian coast discovered an odd visitor, a huge oil tanker, Tamaya 1. This 206-ton vessel was found empty on the beach, no crew, and it's known that this tanker had set sail from Panama for its last voyage, but it was last seen in pirate-infested waters. Ships can run into trouble, especially when linked to the financial problems of the owner. Another strange circumstance was a fire in the captain's cabin. Most likely, this indicates foul play and machinations by the company. Unfortunately, before the local authorities could provide safe docking, local vandals had already looted and desecrated the ship. This story is dramatic and clearly tinged with mystique. Lady Elizabeth is the famous three-masted iron ship. The bark with a displacement of 1,200 tons was built to replace a namesake vessel that had sunk and was launched in 1879 in Sunderland, Britain. For the next 30 years, the ship carried cargoers around the world and endured formidable challenges. But 1912 turned out to be a fateful year. En route from Vancouver to Mozambique, near the perilous pass of Cape Horn, Lady Liz encountered a fierce storm, losing 4 crew members and a large part of its cargo. People perished, swept overboard, and the ship was badly damaged and in need of repair. The captain ordered a change of course towards the Falkland Islands. They were just 15 miles short of their destination when, after striking a rock, the hull was breached. Nevertheless, the ship that miraculously made it to port was declared unfit and used as a floating warehouse. The rebellious lady did not accept her fate, and in 1936, during a storm, she broke free from her chain and ventured into the open ocean like a ghost ship. Soon the ship ran around Whale Cove, and within a year, everything of interest was carried away by looters. Time and the elements have not spared Lady Liz, but she still listens to the roar of the waves, losing parts of her hull to severe rust, while high tides dream of sinking her. A beautiful legend, don't you think? Now, let's smoothly transition from mysticism to some real witchcraft. Normal people cut melon into slices. You do that, right? In 2016, a strangely served melon on a shore caught the attention of a strolling couple. The way it was cut gave rise to an unsettling thought. A magical ritual was clearly taking place. Concerned, the tourists reported their find to the police. What if a Maoist or a madman was nearby, who had haphazardly chopped the melon into pieces, driving nails into it according to some strange markings, and made cuts in the rind with cannibalistic signs? Along with the police, local clergy were called to apply their skills in cleansing the area of voodoo witchcraft. It sounds naive and outdated as long as we're sitting here in front of the screens, but if I were in their place, I'm not sure what I would have done. In 2023, residents of the Gulf of Mexico found something disturbing on the shore: a number of old bottles with strange contents. They didn't resemble traditional messages in bottles. They were dated from the 16th and 17th centuries and looked more like witch bottles. During those times, England was steeped in superstitious fear of witchcraft. Remember the witch trials? Occultism, curses, and evil spells were companions of people's lives, and to protect themselves from spirits, or conversely, to inflict evil, methods of trapping evil forces in a bottle were employed. The bottle was considered a magical device and often filled with all sorts of unpleasant things. Inside could be nails, pins, even urine, hair, and sometimes even a piece of fur or skin. All these carried magical functions. You might say this is complete nonsense, and you would probably be right, but then why were so many found? Usually such things are hidden in the house, bricked up in walls or under the floor, and only come to light during demolition. How did it get into the ocean? Simply, they crossed it with the first settlers. You might ask, did so many witches decide to start a business on the new continent? As I said in the beginning, these bottles were used as protective devices, used for trapping curses and the evil eye. Now, each bottle served as a time capsule for us, a chance for researchers to look at the fears and hopes of early England. Although we can still call on higher powers for help and protection, I personally would not want to use such means. Since we're talking about the ocean, a huge number of its inhabitants are thrown ashore by the waves every day. Let's take a look at some of the strangest among them. Scientists can't find a universal explanation for how deep-sea animals end up on beach sand. Another incident occurred in 2023. On Long Island, a saber-toothed fish was washed ashore. This is the real name of the long fish, Alepisaurus. It somewhat resembles a pike, but it's smooth and lacks scales. Its dorsal fin is high as a snail. The fish is accustomed to moving to different depths throughout the day. It's also known as a lance fish, but it resembles a surgical knife. It looks frightening, and those who caught it in Oregon couldn't understand why the lifeless deep-sea dweller ended up in the shallows. This species inhabits tropical waters, but also travels far north to the Arctic latitudes. Maybe they chase prey all the way to the shore and then become prey themselves. Or could it be related to the climate change? In any case, if ocean dwellers are losing their spatial orientation, it's a bad sign for us all. How would you like finding this on the shore? This alien monster is known as the football fish or anglerfish, and it's a rare guest on the coast. This predator lives in the Pacific Ocean at depths at around 3,300 feet, where sunlight can no longer penetrate. It's unknown how it ended up on the beach. Probably many people walking along the California coast experienced the horror. The type of anglerfish looks like a sea devil. It's coal black, gelatinous body covered with rust spines, and needle-like teeth protrude from its huge mouth. But the most interesting device is located on its head. A bioluminescent fishing rod with a glowing bulb on the end. Overall, this fish resembles a spaceship in the darkness. However, only females, which live up to 24, can have such equipment. Males in their society exist as parasites, clinging to the female. Sometimes one female may carry several male fish with her. It's convenient for them because it's not easy to find a mate in the dark abyss. In general, if you come across such a fish, know it's not a devil, but a devilish fish. In 2023, on a beach in Western Australia, puzzled people surrounded a round, slippery body that they couldn't figure out what kind of fish or thing it was. The pear-shaped form with a short tail wasn't frightening to look at, but anyone who touched this black pear would be literally shocked. This fish is a type of black ray, and while the manta relatives are easily visible in the water and can only strike with their tails, this bomb has electric organs all over its body. They can generate up to 200 volts of electricity. If compared to domestic networks, it feels as though you're being grabbed by a barbed wire in the ocean. Quite a jolt, and even look comically like a big slug. Fishermen are well aware of these dangerous creatures and teach youth not to touch the naughty fish, as the hand will tremble and go numb. The species lives on sandy or muddy bottoms near the shores or rivers, as well as in oceans. They bury themselves in the sand and patiently wait for prey, small fish or unlucky penguins. Mostly, their habitat is in Australia, a record holder for the presence of predatory, dangerous, and poisonous animals. The biodiversity of the ocean is unfathomable. It would take a lifetime to study all the species ever inhabiting it. Have you ever encountered such a ray? You've certainly never seen anything like this. If you stumbled upon a monster on the beach, you surely would turn back. Even the directors of pirate movies, having created similar monsters, their imaginations weren't enough for such incredible things. A log, several meters in length, covered in long, dark tentacles, was found in 2016 on the shore of Auckland, the beach in New Zealand called Murray Wai Beach, and the find was named after it. Someone joked about the sea dreadlocks, but actually, it's a shell colony from the Mediterranean. These rare mollusks are called gooseneck barnacles. They occupy logs or stones and feed by filtering water. They can also be eaten and considered a delicacy. Would you try a dish made of Murray Wai monster? Some are lucky, and usually the most fortunate maybe will find a large beautiful shell on the beach or someone's lost gold jewelry. California has very beautiful coastlines, and a young seeker named Forrest Shepard often made voyages near Santa Cruz Island in search of interesting things. Every day, the ocean throws out something new, and in 2011, he was lucky enough to stumble upon a historical value, a sea animal skull. It turned out to be from a walrus, and the age was around 5 million years old. The boy was fascinated by fossils, and he quickly realized how significant the discovery was. The skull weighed around 66 pounds and was well preserved, and to transport it from the beach, Forrest had to call a friend for help. Scientists identified the fossil as a new species of walrus, and in honor of the significant contribution of the young man's paleontology, they named it after the discoverer's surname, Shepard's Walrus. As the reconstruction showed, this unique species did not have sharp teeth, but only tusks, and their feeding was predominantly by suction. One can only guess how they survived for millions of years. The deeper it is, the bigger it is. Megalodon, a gigantic shark, once the ruler of the ocean, probably the most terrifying predator of the depths, is usually depicted as a massive great white shark. Although they became extinct over 3 million years ago, traces of their presence are still found on Earth today. The most obvious evidence of their true size are in the teeth, which continue to surface in various parts of the world. In 2022, in the state of Maryland in the Chesapeake Bay area, a 9-year-old girl named Molly found a megalodon tooth on the shore. It was clear that this was not a typical shark tooth due to its size, but nearly 5.1 inches long. Astonishingly, the find coincided with Christmas, and the girl happened to be an avid fossil hunter. This tooth was shown to the curator of paleontology at the Marine Museum and was confirmed to have belonged to a megalodon. We don't know why they went extinct, but if they were alive today, no one would engage in diving or snorkeling ever again. In 2021, during regular maintenance of a lagoon in Rutland, Britain, a nature conservation team made a revolutionary discovery. They came across the fossilized remains of Ichthyosaurus, commonly referred to as a sea dragon. The found skeleton, around 33 feet long, was not only a valuable fossil, but also the largest among the discovered fossil remains in Britain. It's possible that it could be older than 180 million years. A complete skeleton is a rare find for such a large creature. This dinosaur were marine reptiles, living along dinosaurs starting from a period of 250 million years ago. They were the apex predators of the Jurassic Park ocean, their jaws equipped with many sharp teeth, so this is no seahorse or dolphin. All parts of the dinosaur were carefully extracted from the sand, and now they constitute a unique specimen of sea monster. Now it's time for a mystification. Imagine you're in Los Angeles, walking along the beach, enjoying the sea breeze. Suddenly, you come across a gigantic dragon skeleton on the sand. No sign nearby, just the skeleton of a huge dragon. How many people were scared, and how many experienced surprise? At first thought, is this a real relic, and why are there no explanations? In reality, it's a fake fossil, a part of an installation, 100% fake. 40 feet in length and nearly 10 in height, these are the dimensions of the sculpture, which took the creators around 2 months to make. I don't know what the final goal of this advertisement was, but a lot of work was done. Very strange though, I must admit. What we now know as the southern coast of Spain was thousands of years ago the territory of Neanderthals. Ideally, footprints of theirs could have been well preserved somewhere. In 2021, a group of researchers discovered traces of a group of Neanderthals fossilized in sand. The ancient inhabitants left them around 100,000 years ago in the Upper Pleistocene era. And now, researchers have been able to recognize on-the-ground footprints of adults and children who played and jumped in the sand. Their place of residence is now located in the territory of Doñana National Park. That's why the prints survived. Back then, this place was not a seaside beach, but a body of drinkable brackish water. And most likely, it was also a place of rest. In total, the footprints of this group counted 36 people. Among them were 11 children of different ages. The smallest footprints were around 5.5 inches long and could have belonged to a 6-year-old child. Nearby, Neanderthal stone tools were discovered. This little studied civilization presents great interest for archaeologists and historians, and children on the beach after hundreds of thousands of years play the same games, frolicking on the sand. These massive trees were washed up on the shore of Cape La Push in Washington state. Look how huge they are. A person standing next to them seemed tiny, and the diameter of the trunk can reach around 5 to 10 feet. It remains only to guess where they grew, how they fell, and what path they took to the edge of the world. Heavy trees are not so easy to cut down, and waiting for them to dry out can take just as long. Ancient books as well mention that millions of years ago, trees reached such sizes that the tabletop formations we take for mountains were their stumps. Would you believe it? Here's a story. A woman saw a huge tree washed up on the shore. She carefully examined it and found a mysterious inscription carved in an unknown language. The letters resembled runic symbols. Intrigued, the woman decided to go for a camera, but when she returned, the tree was still in the same place, but the inscription had disappeared. What if the messages only became visible at a special angle of the sun's rays? And if it was there at all, what did it contain? Complaints about bad times, hunger, weather, or a message about a treasure trove? What do you think it could have been about? Write to us in the comments. Share with us your comments below, and also check out our other interesting compilations as they appeared on the screen right now. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video. Take care now.